Hello, I'm Ashley and welcome to my space here. Today I wanted to make a little video for you to kind of give you my little explanation and kind of tell you my story about my conflicted energy between race and gender. And this is something that I've really been kind of scared to share just because it makes me feel very vulnerable and but it's a really huge important lesson that I came here to learn in this lifetime, and I think I came here to share that what I'm learning with you. So I kind of wanted to just give you a little taste of what I've been dealing with internally when it comes to my own gender identification and my own race identification, and the illusion of race and gender to me that I've come to realize within myself. Because one thing I've been working on for the last couple of years is really balancing my own masculine and feminine energies, so I could create this sense of wholeness within myself. My energies were very imbalanced, and I didn't even know what any of this was until it was kind of like I just had different experiences in my life that just kind of catapulted me and kind of like forced me to make some changes, right? And usually we don't make changes because we know we need to, or we don't usually do it with our own free will. Most of the time we create change because we're forced into it because there's no other option. Hello, COVID. We're kind of being forced into change right now, and so that's kind of why I wanted to share my perspective and what balancing my own masculine and feminine energies has done to me to create this sense of harmony within myself. And I think that's what we need more now than ever, is harmony within our own beings, because our external world is a reflection of our internal world. And you can see there's lots of disease, there's poverty, there's homelessness, there's inequality, there's racism, there's hatred, and there's not a lot of peace. There's a lot of chaos, there's war, there's violence, there's rape, there's all sorts of terrible things, and I say terrible in quotes because I'm not dismissing that those things are terrible, because those are very challenging circumstances if you've experienced any of those things, to experience those and to, give yourself permission and compassion to be gentle with yourself, because you are so much stronger than you realize, but a lot of us don't recognize our inner strength. We never get that chance to develop that quality within ourselves, and I think that's what a lot of us are learning right now. So my whole issue is it's just like this conflicting energy of like identifying with masculine or feminine, or like male or female. I am 100% like my gender is female. Like I have female organs. I'm not denying that at all. But what I am denying is the identification with being only female, because part of me is very masculine. There's a part of me that, is a boss, that likes to, that has a lot of willpower, that has a lot of, I like to lead. I like to, hold my own. I like to be assertive. I like to stand my ground. I like to be centered in my own being. I like to trust myself. I like to feel safe within my own body. And these are all very masculine traits, to feel that sense of support, to feel that sense of wellness, to feel that sense of, it's like feeling that sense of strength. Like I was saying, a lot of us are in challenging situations as a way to cultivate and develop our strength. So even if we're born in a feminine body, we can embody these masculine traits that really help to actually amplify our feminine energy. And then we actually, by attending to our masculine energy and developing these qualities within us, we really begin to accentuate our feminine qualities. And those things that, the peace and the love and the compassion, the empathy, the understanding, that's all very feminine traits within us. And what happens when we begin to actually nurture those qualities within us, we begin to feel a sense of security, which security is our masculine energy. So a lot of women, for example, they tend to rely on men as a way to feel secure or to feel stable or to feel good about themselves, And what we're really learning as women is how to feel that on our own, not to only feel it when it's coming from an outside source, but to really truly feel whole within yourself and feel like you are, abundant, and feel like you are whole and that you are at peace and that you are stable and secure without anything, except for just within your own being. And all of us should feel that way, because when we feel that way as women, when we feel stable and secure, and we feel very deeply connected to our masculine energy, that's actually when we begin to call in relationships with men, whether it be business partners, whether it be friends, whether it be a romantic partner, whether it be the relationship with our father, the relationship with our brother, whatever it is for you, we really begin to call in, and even if you don't call in those things, let's say it's a relationship that's already been established, as you begin to shift those qualities within yourself, this helps the people around you, and it helps your relationships evolve and grow and deepen and strengthen. And there's no longer this need to control your relationships. There's no need, like, if a relationship doesn't work for you, then it's like you're able to easily like let it go, rather than like holding on to it, because it gives you a sense of identity. So that's what I'm saying here. It's like we don't have an identity. We're not male or female. We're both. So like we can be our own man. We can be our own hero. We've been told this like fairy tale for a really long time, that men have to rescue us, or it's like this idea that like we're not whole on our own, and it's a complete illusion. It's delusional, and it keeps a lot of women and even men, it keeps them stuck. It keeps them in their small selves. They don't have a chance to expand and to truly express fully their entire selves. And the same goes with men. They've been taught for a really long time to not feel their emotions, because emotions are very feminine. And we have this idea that if you're in your feminine energy, or if you're feminine at all, that it means you're weaker, that it means that you're somehow less valuable, or somehow less capable of, creating stability, because you can create stability with your feminine energy, but it takes the balance and the working together with your masculine energy. And these are energies within ourselves. They're not just, there's like, okay, so think of their qualities, there's traits, their characteristics within yourself. So let's say you want a man that's strong, you want a man that makes you feel safe, you want a man that is kind and gentle and understanding, open-minded, compassionate, loving, sensual. If you want a man like that, and that's like your list, then you have to become that. You become that man, become your own man. And we have this idea that, we'll once we have that partnership, once we find that ideal person, then we'll start acting differently. Then we'll start acting like we would, you have to act the way, all the qualities you want in a man, you need to just develop in yourself. And then you become your own person. And what happens is a lot of times people get caught up in, a lot of relationships will like morph into, their partner. They don't have a strong sense of self. So that's what we're really cultivating, is a strong sense of self. And once you begin to do that, and once I've begun to do that, it's like, oh my gosh, I am both male and female. I am my own husband and I'm my own wife, I am both I am male and female. Like, I grew up as a kid loving to play in the dirt. I love bugs. I love, I love dancing. I love ballet. I love coloring. I love, you can be both. That's basically my message here, is that you can be both. You do not have to be like, oh, because you're a woman, you have to only like woman things. Like, you can like manly things, without being a man. And same goes for men. You can like female things and not be a woman, it's this idea. And we do this with our children. You can see it growing up. We label, pink is for girls and blue is for boys. It's like, I like pink and blue, and it's like this idea that like, what about this? Like, it's cute and sexy when women wear men's like t-shirts or their clothes, but what if a man wanted to wear women's clothes? What if a man wanted to wear a dress or wanted to wear makeup? We would judge them, right? So that's just something to think about. Like, that's inequality. That's just bizarre to me, that what is okay for one gender isn't okay for another gender. I mean, this is just delusional. And it's crazy, because as I began to awaken, I didn't really realize these things, honestly, until I began to have like a spiritual awakening, and I began to like recognize these things within myself. And I just like, every day I would wake up and I would just see the inequality, and I would see like these things, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so bizarre. I cannot believe this is the world we live in. So that's kind of like my conflict with the masculine and feminine energies. It's like, and I've been a man. Okay, so I met a soulmate a few years back, and it's crazy because the qualities that I loved in him were like compassion and love and gentleness and kindness and intelligence and just this openness and faith. You know, these are the qualities that I really like adored in this person. And he's a man, and what was funny is that I didn't recognize these qualities, those same qualities that he had within my own self. It was like I was suppressing those things. I was suppressing my own empathy. I was suppressing my own compassion. I was suppressing my own gentleness, my own kindness, my own faith, and my own openness, my own softness. I was literally, I couldn't see those things within myself. And so what happened is like this person acted as like an energetic mirror. And it really helped me to see those qualities within myself. And I was like, wow, I thought he was great, I mean, I still think he's great, but it's like, I didn't think I was great. It's like I was completely deluded by this society and deluded by my upbringing to believe that those qualities didn't exist in me, But I just began to develop those qualities within myself. I began to cultivate my faith. I began to cultivate compassion and being kind to myself. I was probably the hardest person. I grew up being very critical and hard on myself, and I was taught this. And so, yeah, I was like really hard on myself, but I would like not be hard on other people. So I really had to like go inward and start to nurture these qualities within myself that I saw in him. And as I did that, I began to feel this sense of like wholeness, and I began to see myself, my true self, not just the self I was conditioned to be. Because you know how like as girls we're like, you can't express anger, and if you do, you can't belch because that's not ladylike, you can't swear because that's not ladylike. And it's just like, I'm so sick of being told what to do. And it's so funny because when you grow up in a household like that, this is another thing I want to talk about, and I'm gonna shift more into race here now, because there's this idea, and this is the part that probably makes me feel really uncomfortable, is talking about white privilege, because I'm white, and I am privileged. I grew up in a lovely home. I mean, it was a big yard, a big house, in my opinion. I went to a decent school where I got an education. My house was always filled with food. I got to go on vacations. I always had lots of clothes that I liked. I always got things that I liked. I had a TV in my room. I had, just like all the things, all the material things you could ever like really want as a kid. I had them. I had a playground. I had a bike. I had, a pool, and just all sorts of different things. We had a camper. We got to do those things, go on vacations. And there's this idea that because you're like, there's this like idea that like white privilege means that you have no problems. And what I want to kind of get to here is that you do, because I'm one of those people, it's underground. And that's kind of what I want to talk about, because it's like this underground, this idea that, people with maybe money, or people that are white, or that are white and privileged, that they don't have any problems, like they don't have any traumas, and that's really not the case. What happens is a lot of these white privileged people, they mask their trauma, they mask their problems with their money, with their things, with their possessions. But it's a scam, guys. It's a lie. It's false, it's fake, And what happens is like, yeah, sure, you might have all those things. I had all those things. I had health insurance, I had all those things. But I didn't have the emotional support. I didn't have the mental support, not at all. And so, I had everything on the surface, right? Everything surface level was provided for. I had that like financial, like I didn't have to worry about that. That was nothing I worried about as a kid. I mean, sure, I heard my parents like fight about money, and I heard them fight about, other things, but, it was this idea that because you have everything provided for you on the outside, that your life is just like kosher and that everything's good. And it's just like there's this a lot of people avoid a lot of I would say like a lot of white privileged people avoid looking at their traumas, at their, it's really, because trauma is not just like awful things that happen to you. It's not just like the really terrible things. It's really like this disassociation. And if you don't follow the holistic psychologist on Instagram, I highly recommend, because she is wonderful. She just posted a post about this recently, about how trauma is not just like the big things. It's like the little things of, like for example, like a parent being there physically. And this is what I had. Both my parents were there physically. One of them was not there mentally, and the other one was not there emotionally. And as a result, I had to disassociate from my own thoughts. I had to disassociate from my own feelings. And this created an imbalance within me. It created this conflict within me. And so recently, I've had a lot of past lifetimes not as a white person. Like I've been a Native American. I've been an African American. A lot of times, like I've been not white. And it's funny because there's this part of me, and I was just saying this to my mom the other day. I had this conversation because sometimes I get really upset that I'm white. Like seriously, sometimes I will look in the mirror and I'm like, why did I have to be white in this lifetime? And I know that sounds so, I don't know, maybe take it how it is. I'm not trying to be like, I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to tell you how I feel, I guess, and express this in the best way that I can. But it's like, there's a part of me that hates white people. I mean, I absolutely fucking hate them, you know, and it's just like, I am one of them this time, you know. I grew up, I want to talk about past lifetimes because it's probably one of my favorite things, but it's also one of the things that makes me feel the most vulnerable. It's because maybe some people don't believe in past lifetimes, maybe you don't, and that's okay. I'm not here to persuade you or anything. I'm literally here to just tell you and share with you the wisdom that I've gained from kind of tapping more into my intuition and tapping into like the Akashic records and just really investigating my emotions and where they were stemming from, because I had this like anger towards like the family that I grew up in. Like I just didn't feel like I belonged here. I just don't feel like I belong to this family. And I grew up in a very racist family. I grew up believing that because you're a different color, you know, we're supposed to treat you differently. And to me, like as a person now that's awakened, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that I grew up like with these beliefs. You know, I've really had to really change my beliefs because I don't agree with any of that. Like I said, I don't agree with gender. Gender is an illusion to me. So is race. I don't see color at all. Like I don't understand this concept at all. I don't understand the concept of, you know, when you think about our history, and because this is what I'm going to kind of get into with the past lifetime, is I don't understand our history with like treating different colored skinned people less than because they're different. I just don't understand it, and it's really hard to like wrap my mind around. And maybe it's hard for a lot of people too, because you know maybe there are people of color that are, you know, they're in a completely different experience than I am, you know. And I couldn't understand at first why did I choose to be white in this lifetime, you know, why? And this is what I've come to the conclusion. Okay, so I've been in a past lifetime a Native American woman. And I was a Native American woman during the time that, you know, the European Americans now came to this country. And in this lifetime, obviously, I was a Native American woman. So this was my land. You know, I was honored for my gifts, my healing abilities, for my caretaking abilities. I was very highly honored in my tribe and my family. And you think about Native Americans, we had tribes where we had big communities, like territories, you know. And I watched white men massacre my family, my village. I watched them destroy the land. I watched them kill animals. And it still makes me emotional in this lifetime. I'm not kidding you. It still evokes emotion in me in this lifetime. And I can still see these things happening. They're just happening in a different sense now. And I was raped and I was killed in that lifetime. Like I said, I watched my family be killed. I watched animals be killed. I watched my land be destroyed, and I was outraged. I died with so much anger, and I couldn't understand. I remember like thinking like, why? And I hated white people. I hated them. I just fucking hated them, and I can still feel that anger, and it's just like, I can't, because if I do that, then I'll hate myself, right? And that was the whole lesson I think that I'm learning, is that I had to see it from their perspective, and now I understand. I've had to learn how to have compassion for white men who think they have control, who use their power to hurt, that use their power to control, that use their power to destroy. And it's really helped me in this lifetime, where I didn't have the extreme of that. I grew up in a white household, of course, like my father is the patriarchy. I grew up, like I said, in a household that was filled with racism, I would say. It's not like, and here's the thing, is like, racism is bred. So it's like, my father learned how to be racist from the people that raised him, and his parents learned it from their parents and the parents before. It's been passed down for generations and for generations. And it's funny because my dad's not like that at all. He'll say those comments, or he'll say comments which would, when I heard them as a child, like, it would make me like change my opinion of people of color, because my dad, he was, the patriarchy, he was the male figure, and so we trusted him. You base your opinions off what he believes, and those become your beliefs and your opinions. And they just totally did not align with me as I began to awaken spiritually. I was like, this doesn't, and my father's not like that, he'll say these things, but he doesn't truly mean them, and that's ignorance, that's, it's like saying those things and making those jokes. It's like people that make racist jokes, or people that make like, I don't know, just dumb jokes, those are contributing to the racism that's still being bred into generations. And it's something that I just don't agree with. It's not that I don't love my family, or love people that are racist, because I love everyone. That's kind of the whole purpose. But I think that so just in that past lifetime, I had so much anger, and I remember being in this lifetime as a kid, and feeling just powerless and feeling out of control, because I was not allowed to have an opinion. I was not allowed to have my own beliefs. I was not allowed to voice my opinion. I was not allowed to have my own, express my emotions. I was not allowed to be who I was, and so I felt very powerless. I felt like I was being controlled, and this created a lot of chaos and conflict within my own being, because I wasn't allowed to have my own opinions. I wasn't allowed to have my own expression. And this really suppressed my soul, and our soul, obviously wants to come here to expand and to grow. So this created a lot of conflict within myself, and I would shame myself. I would beat myself up. I created a eating disorder, and I would binge eat. And it's funny, because I realized, and I've been realizing this recently, is that it was never about my weight. My eating, like, it was never about my weight. As soon as I got my mental health under control, I began to lose weight. It began to affect my physical health, my physical body. It was all mental. It was a mental disorder, where I would compare myself, to other women, or I would compare myself to other people. And I think this is kind of the idea, where it was kind of coming out with people with this idea that, like, because you're white privilege, a lot of people use their privilege to, like I said, mask their own issues, and like, those are the people that need to be doing the healing, in my opinion, are the white privileged people, because those are the people that have the they have the privilege to be able to help, people of color, to be able to help the people that are less fortunate, but they would rather, run away from it, hide. That's the thing, is like, I learned how to run away from my emotions. I learned how to run away from everything. And I think it's really kind of a big deal, and I think that more people need to take it more seriously. And like, for me, like, because I have white privilege, I want to be able to use that for good, and not just use it for my own personal gain. And in past lifetimes I have been a man, and I've been a boss, and I've been a very successful businessman in other lifetimes. But you know what I did do? I neglected my health. I neglected my family. I neglected love. I neglected all those things, and I died very miserable and unhappy. And that's the thing, is people think, oh, because once you have money, or if I had money, all my problems would go away. And here's the thing, as a soul, just because you have money, you're just gonna attract different circumstances. You're gonna attract different challenges. So you might have trouble trusting people, because you have money, and you might think, you might have trouble making friends because you don't know who's genuine or who wants to use you. So you might not necessarily have that as somebody who's, doesn't have lots of money and people just like you for who you are, rather than like chasing after you because you have like this glitz and this glam. Or you might struggle to like believe or feel fulfilled in that you have enough. Even people with $1 million might still believe that that's not enough, So it's like you can be someone who's like poor, or, doesn't have as much money, and think, oh, if I had all of the money, if I just had $1 million, all my problems would go away. It's just like, no, you would just have different problems. You would have different challenges you would have to face as a soul to grow and evolve. So I just want to remind you that, like, it's like, I guess it's not just about gender, it's not just about race, it's also about like class, and we have classes that are divided, and a lot of it right now is like you're either poor or you're wealthy, and there needs to be, like, obviously that's, in my opinion, it's 2020, so we're coming to balance those things, and that's exactly what this is about, is balancing those masculine and feminine energies within you, balancing the race within you. Like, you are everyone. You are the native, and like our country was, like, America is a land of people of color. Like, the Native American people were brown-skinned people, So this is just what confuses me, and it's just like, when you just see, like, white men, or not even just white men, even white women, white people in general, it's an illusion. And I just wish more people could see beyond the superficial. I wish they could see beyond the color of your skin. I wish they could see, like, for me, okay, especially I was obese, I was very unhealthy, and one thing I always wanted was, I wish somebody would see beyond my body. I just wish somebody would see my soul, and and that's so frustrating. And I'm sure that's kind of the same concept. Like, if you've struggled with racism, like, you probably just want to be seen for your soul, not for the color of your skin, because who cares, it's just like this superficial, very shallow way of living, and it just does not suffice. It does not serve me at all. I'm deeply feminine, and so I'm very deep. I just don't care about the outside at all. And it's funny, because the more you get in tune to your soul, the less you care about the outside. Like, whether that be what you look like, whether that be how much money you have in your bank account, or the kind of home you live in, you just don't care, because your soul doesn't care about those things. So your values really begin to shift, and you no longer see race, you no longer see gender, you no longer see class, you just see you and everybody. And it's that aspect of that energetic mirror, like I said, that soulmate connection, that really helped me to not just use it for like a relationship, to be in a romantic relationship, but to really shift my relationship with the world, to shift my relationship with my own self, and to really see myself as everyone else, and for me, and when you begin to like come to that state where you see yourself as everyone, it becomes even more I don't want to say frustrating, but at the same time I do want to say frustrating, because you want to make everybody else see the way that you see. It's just like, you can't do that. You can't force people to see beyond things that they've been conditioned to believe, and that's not our job as people, to like make people believe certain things or to believe what we believe. You all have your own opinions, and mine is maybe different from yours, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that you're less of a person, or that I'm less of a person. It just means we use each other as ways to expand our perceptions of life, and to allow ourselves to evolve and grow, and that's obviously what the soul wants. So that's kind of the conflict I've been having recently, is that I am not male, I'm not female, I am not poor, I am not rich, I am not white, I am not colored, like I just am everything. And so it's just really frustrating sometimes to be like, but it's like you have to find this inner peace too. Like, like I said, it's frustrating because, like, sometimes, like I said, like, I have this issue with, like, in past lifetimes of like not liking white people, but in this lifetime I was born a white person, you know? So it's like I have to really harmonize those energies within myself and be like, okay, like I see what I'm learning about being white in this lifetime that I couldn't really understand in another lifetime. And so it really comes like full circle, and it helps you really integrate these things, and you no longer have this sense of like rage. Like for me, my rage is turned inward. I don't really turn my rage externally. I was hurting myself, and that's kind of like the eating disorder. It was like you eat a lot, you binge eat because you're hurting yourself in your mind first. So it starts in your thoughts, and once you begin to see, oh shoot, I'm really hurting myself with my thoughts, I'm being really negative towards myself. I had an addiction to negative thinking, and that's a legit addiction. People don't recognize that as an addiction, but it is. And I began to notice that like once I stopped beating myself up in my mind, I no longer had to beat up my body by like stuffing myself, you know, or so that's kind of, and that's where it starts, is in the mind. That's you won't just all of a sudden not see gender anymore. You just all of a sudden won't see race anymore. It's like it's a perception in your mind, and you have to train yourself every time you have like a judgment of somebody who's, you know, like there's lots of women who judge men or have this like disdain towards men, and they turn it inwards, and that's our inner masculine energy, like I was kind of saying, and really cultivating. So if you have daddy issues or you have mommy issues, you know, like then you're gonna like maybe have like this resentment towards men, or you're gonna have trouble trusting men, or vice versa for women, you know, and you're gonna have trouble trusting women, or you're gonna have trouble like opening up to women, or and so you have to really, because you'll turn it inward and you'll really begin to imbalance your own masculine and feminine energies, and like you'll use your parents too. That's where you begin to you begin to create an imbalance with gender as well, because you have your parents and your caregivers that are male and female, and you begin to associate that as your own inner masculine and feminine, even if they don't resonate with your soul at all, you know. So it's really, you have to get to the mind first. It's like, and that's where you access these broader perceptions of life, rather than these limited views that you were taught via your parents, like whether it be about race, whether it be about gender, whatever it is for you, you know, whether it be about money, you know, like and things like that. So it's really like shifting your beliefs. And it's 4:44 right now as I say this, and I'm about to end this video. So I hope this was helpful to you in some way. Thank you for listening to me talk about this. It's just something, like I felt like I've been really conflicted about recently, and now I just know that I am both male and female. I am all the colors. I'm all the colors of the rainbow. One of the things I've been working with recently is Jesus, and the term gay, you know, like that term has been really distorted, because Jesus, when I work with him, like the word gay means like you love everyone, like you're just happy and you're just like free, and you're just like, it's just like this energy of like glee, and I don't know, for me it's like this energy of unity, like where it's like you just love everyone for who they are. You don't withhold your love just because somebody's a certain color. You don't withhold your love because somebody loves the same sex. You don't withhold your love because somebody's poorer than you or richer than you, or, you know, because whatever. You just don't do that anymore. You are open to love in general, because you are love. Love is not something that you have to get, you know, and that's what a lot of us, you know, we didn't really get that love maybe, and so we're trying to get it from everything else. And this can just really distort our perception of life and our perception of ourselves. So you are one, you are whole, you are both male and female. You are all the colors of the rainbow. You are all the colors of every person that ever exists. You know, you could have been a black person in another lifetime. You could have been Hispanic in another lifetime. It doesn't matter, you know, we're all the same. So that's basically the point I'm getting at, is that we are all one, we are all the same. And yeah, when you feel like you are whole, you see the whole of humanity, and you no longer you no longer put things into categories or to boxes or to labels. That's one thing I cannot stand, is labels. Like, I'm a vegetarian, or I'm spiritual, or, you know, I'm this or I'm that. It's just like, no labels. Stop labeling yourself. Allow yourself to be open and expansive, and allow yourself to grow and evolve and change through different perspectives, And anyway, like I said, I hope this is helpful for you. I hope this maybe helped you understand where I was coming from. If not, just take it, just leave it, whatever. And thank you for listening to me. I will be back next time, and I'm sending you so much love. Take care.